Hello, welcome to Sri Lanka DevOps community. Today we are going to discuss about how to filter logs in a proper way to effectively diagnose issues in AKS, deployed container apps. So our goal is to look at various ways of looking at logs and filtering them so that we can find out issues or get more information about what is happening in the container when they are running. So let's move on. So what are the options available to see logs in AKS? Basically, we can use kubectl logs command with grep, which will give us a lot of options to filter the logs that appear in pods. Then when we are using AKS, we have the option of using container logs in log analytics. To filter out those logs, we can use custom queries and we can easily filter the logs and see the details. Now, the advantage and the difference between the kubectl logs and the log analytics logs is kubectl logs are only allowing you to view the logs available in current pods. So if a pod is existing, you can use kubectl logs to view the log. But if you want to look at previously what happened, like if the pod is no longer available, then the only option for you to use is using the log analytics and then executing custom queries. So today we are going to explore both of these options and go and see how they are working. So let's first move on to kubectl logs and grep. So basically we can get a log out of kubectl using kubectl logs and the pod name and provide the namespace, and then you can say you need only the last 100 lines by specifying --tail and then saying 100. Now there's a mistake in this slide, like it's not a single dash, it should be --tail. So let me try to switch on to WSL window and then look at set of logs. So basically here you can see I have a couple of applications running in my Kubernetes cluster, and as you can see I have API called invoice API which is a pod. So what we can do is we can just do a kubectl logs for this particular invoice API, and then we can say the namespace is demo, and this is basically it for reading the entire log. So if I press here, okay, I think I made a mistake in typing, so it should be rather kubectl logs, and when I click that, it takes longer time to give the logs because we have a very lengthy log now. So I'll press a Ctrl C just to stop it, and then maybe we can ask for only give me last 100 lines. Okay, so maybe to make it more clear, I'll clear the screen and let's ask for only last 10 lines. Okay, so that's much more better than having the entire log. We are going through the entire log, but this again doesn't give much help because like you can only filter for last set of details. So if there's an exception or something just occurred, maybe you can just look at it. However, if you want to know more information, how can we do that? Okay, we can go and do a grep. So what we can do is pipe this log into grep and say we are not worried about case sensitivity, so that's why I'm typing -i. So that -i means we are not worrying about case sensitivity. And then what we can do is we can just say, okay, I need some information if there is any exceptions occurred. Okay, as you can see, there's no exception details. So do I have any error details in this log? Oh, that's for, this is not giving any exceptions because I have filtered for last 10 lines. As you can see, in the last 10 lines, there is no errors. So maybe let's try this again without that filter. Okay, as you can see, in this particular API, I have had IO exception, which is handled in the code, and then there's an unhandled exception as well. And I want to know when this has occurred. So let's switch back to slide and just have other options. So kubectl got logs we can get with timestamp. So how do we specify the timestamp? We can say -- timestamps in the log. So that will give us UTC time of the execution. So what I can do is here, I can add -- timestamps. So now we can easily see, okay, we have got IO exception at these particular times. So what if I want to filter for this minute and see entire log of that particular minute? So I can go ahead and do that by just saying, instead of exception, this time I'm going to say the time. So it gives me the entire minute. So you can see it has this exception, and other than that, it was handling things pretty in a safe manner. All right, so let's switch back to the slides. So we have learned about how to get the logs with timestamps and then filter the logs for timestamps. So let's move on. Now we can actually filter the logs for O conditions. So we can actually look for more detailed information in O conditions. So we can say, okay, if it is this time or if it is another time, just give me the logs for those two time slots. Or maybe I can specify more conditions, like if there's an error or if there is exception, just give me the logs. So how we do that is we can use the -e so that we can provide different criteria. So you can use multiple -es so that we can provide multiple criteria which will act as a O search in the log. So let's go and try this. So basically, without specifying a time frame, I will try to just, as previous, I will just try to say exception. Okay, if I see any exception, just send me those logs. Okay, that gave me exception. And then if I change this to E and then exception, and if there is E error, maybe, so exception or error, just give me anything that is having exception or error. Now in this instance, actually both exception and error are on the same line, so we are only seeing that. So I can maybe say, if you have anything called fail, just give me that. Let's try that if it is providing any information. Okay, now you can see more. So it's searching for fail, error, and exception. So this way we can get more information. So that really helps for us to have a look and then maybe rather filter more and more. So instead of using this particular -e argument, we can use -E argument with another syntax to achieve the same move. So let me try to modify it. So if I show you in the slides, it would look like this, but let's go and practically do this. So maybe I can start off with 2. So what I can do is, instead of using this minus simply, I can make it expand, and then I can put a O here. And then I can say, give me if there is anything that is having exception or error. So let's try that. So now it's giving me exception and error. Exception or error. So if there is anything that is having O fail, maybe this time let's try to add the colon as well and see. Okay, it didn't show up. Maybe I need to use this. Yes, right. So you can see it's giving again another way to achieve O condition with grep, and we can see the logs in much more easier way. All right. Now we have seen how to achieve O condition. How about AND condition? So what we can do for achieving AND condition with filtering Kubernetes logs, we can use again multiple piping. So let's try to do that first. So what I'm trying to do is, okay, let's change this and say, okay, I want to get anything that is having exception. So exception. Cool. Now we got exception details. Now how about we get exception and error, or just for demo. Okay, let's try to get exception and just for demo. So to achieve that, what we can do is do another pipe and say grep. Now we are piping already filtered log into another grep, and we say we want to filter in case insensitive way, and then we want to filter for just for demo. Now let's see what happens. Now you can see it only highlights just for demo part, because in our AND condition, what we have done is we filtered first for exception, and then we further filtered the log for just for demo. So last grep highlights will only be shown, but we can see each of these lines have exception as well. So is there another way to do this? Yes. How can we do that? We can use again expand command with capital E, and then we can use dot asterisk to represent any number of characters, so that it will make one condition and anything in between and another condition, so that if that is there, then give us the log. So let's try to do that. So instead of making piping of grep, what I'm going to do right now is change this into expand argument, and then instead of piping, I'm going to say give me anything that is having exception and just for demo. So let's try that. Now you can see here it shows exception IO error and just for demo is given. So this is really useful for us to easily filter the logs. Now I have filtered this in a proper way, but what if I want to know just after this exception what happened. So what are the call stack information maybe. So let's try to obtain little bit more information. So how we can do that? To do that, filter few lines after, we can use -a command. So it will really help us to find more information. Let's try to say I need this particular lines where there is exception, and just for demo, and if there's anything after that particular condition, I need at least 3 lines. Let's try to get that. So now you can see there's a bit of difference. So you can see after this line it has returned 3 more additional log lines. So I can see this is just an exception, just handled, and there's nothing much. This case also it is the same. But for this access violation exception, since I have retrieved 3 lines, now you can see when I get access violation exception, it has more call stack information. So just to see if there's more, I might change this to 5 and try. Okay, I can see much more log lines now. So it shows where this occurred. Probably I want to filter only for access violation exception this time. So maybe I'll try to change this to access violation, which is the unhandled exception. And maybe I'll get 10 lines just to see additional information. So now I get more and more details. Maybe I need 15 lines to get the full stack, full call stack information, or maybe more. So you can this way filter more and more stack information, call stack information. So you can see when I said field 20, I got the full call stack. So where it has called and everything is available, so that we can easily diagnose, okay, this access violation occurred in this part of the code. So we should be looking at this part of the code and try to fix this particular access violation exception. We should fix it properly, and then we should be good. All right. Now, how about if we just want to see a couple of lines above this app access violation exception? So what we can do is we can use B, that says before lines. So for example, I'll change this to only 2 lines just to make it easier to view. And then I need before lines, again 4 lines. So this will return me 4 lines before the error occurred, and then 5 lines, 2 lines after the error occurred. So this is giving me, so I'll make the screen clear to make it much more better viewable. So you can see now before this access violation exception, what happened? Couple of lines, 4 lines, and then after that 2 lines. So that way we can, if we want to filter something, we can filter for before lines, after lines, and we can particular criteria in a AND condition, or condition. So everything can be done like this. So we can even apply this for the or condition as well. So just let me show you that part as well. So when we are using or condition like this, we had these details. So if I want to get clear this to make more visible. So if I want to get after 4 lines, okay, now it gives 4 additional lines after the criteria. So this is very effective way of filtering logs and weaving the logs so that we can diagnose the issues really faster in Kubernetes. But this only allows us to diagnose issues when we have the pod available. So let me try to get the list of pods we have. So since these pods are available, I can see the logs. Now, if I have any restarts, unfortunately, I don't have any restarts happened in this particular pods. So maybe we can try to simulate a restart. Probably we can try. So how can we do that? Okay, we will try to do that later. But if we try to simulate some sort of a restart or restarted container, what we can do is to get the previous pods details, we can apply a -p here. So if we do that, then we can get the previous pod details. Now if I try to do that with the tail command without using grep, let me show you what happens. Tail and 10 lines. Now we don't have a restarted situation here. Now I can't, I think it will say there's no previous terminated container in this pod. So if there's a previous terminated container, that means if there's a restart count here, then you can see the last or previous pod container details. That's possible. So maybe we can try to log into a container and see if we can simulate a restart. kubectl exec it should allow me to jump into the container. So let's try to do that. I don't exactly remember the syntax. Maybe we have to search for the syntax. And then okay, let me anyway check what is the syntax. So that's much easier than trying to kubectl exec. We should be able to provide the pod name and then -c container. Okay, then that should be fine. So let's try to let's try to restart that custom API, because I know how to kill a process in custom API. That's much easier. So let's try to use the custom API instead of because this is running on Windows, so I can easily use PowerShell and try to kill it. So now I'm just going to jump into this particular pod and kill the container so that we can create a restart situation. So I am going to the custom API and I want container. My container is customer API inside this, and then I give the namespace demo, and then I will say I want to use PowerShell. So this should work. Oh, maybe we can say pwsh. Okay, let's try sh then. Oh, it's not gonna work. Internal command, external command, container. Okay, let's try invoice API once, and if it doesn't work, we can maybe forget about this part of the demo. We can just try that for a second. Okay, we are in that. So maybe I'll try to exit this, and then now now we are inside the container, so maybe I'll try if there's PowerShell core in this one. No. Okay, let's try to do it with SH. I'm not sure how to kill a process in SH. I know how to do it in PowerShell. So maybe this restart thing we can't do at this time. So that's fine. So let's exit from this. But what I want to say is, like, if you have a way to do this restart, and if you see a restart here, you can just use logs and then you can specify -p, so that will give you the previous instance details. So that's what I want to see, like, so we should not go out of the topic too much. So if you have PowerShell, you can try to just kill the process .NET process, so that it will restart the container. So we will have a restart and we can view the previous logs. Unfortunately, I don't remember the exact way to log into a Windows container. So I think these containers are Windows, but I'm not really sure. So basically what we have looked at is, let me clear this screen, and basically what we have looked at is couple of ways to filter logs, and we have looked at how to get the details filtered in different ways. So we have used AND condition or condition with kubectl logs, so that has given us a lot of information there. Now let's move forward and try to get more information on how to query a not existing pod. So this is, we are running the logs for existing pods using kubectl, and when we want to get non-existing pod details, or even for existing pod details, how to use log analytics and custom queries. So there are a couple of tables which are really important, like kube pod inventory, kube events, container logs, insight metrics, and there's several others, but we'll just execute a couple of queries on these particular tables just to get an idea how we can get more insights into log details and diagnosing issues. So let's go ahead and do that in actually log analytics or AKS logs. So here in my browser, I have opened my Kubernetes cluster that we were viewing previously. So we can go to the logs section here. So that will give us log analytics details. Or the other way to do this is, we can go to home, and then we can go to the particular resource group where our log analytics is there. So you can see the AKS cluster is here, and then I can filter for log and go to log analytics workspace. It's the same. So even if you go through Kubernetes or come here and view the logs, it's giving you the same details. So we can view what are the tables here. So as I said, for the container insights, we have all these tables, and there's other Azure resource tables, and then there's log management set of tables as well. So you can query all these tables and see. So the simplest way to query this thing. So I will not set this to that much far away time, but I'll set to last 30 minutes for the time being. And then let's try to look at the kube pod inventory. So before going into this, I will just show you my Grafana dashboard, just to give you an idea what are the applications that I am running. So I have these set of applications running in my Kubernetes cluster, and again these are based on Azure monitoring details. The Grafana chart is created, so I will explain a little bit how we can get these details into monitoring using these log analytics details. So most of these charts are created based on the log analytics details, and some are from different Azure monitoring details. So for example, let's look at this invoice API horizontal pod autoscaler details. So if we go into our Kubernetes command line, and then kubectl get HPA and demo. So you can see my horizontal pod autoscalers and their definition. So you can see here invoice API HPA. I have defined minimum pods is 1 and maximum pods is 10. So same thing is shown in here, 1 and 10. So if I look at the custom API specifically, or we can, okay, so this is showing for HPA details for all pods. So if we want to look at custom API, we can filter like this. So you can see desired is this for custom API. So you can use these log analytics to achieve this set of charts, which is giving visual information. But this is not what I'm trying to go into details. So let's first start with few simple queries and try to learn. So let me get back to the slide and try to move on. Okay, this is, I think, a more complex queries. Maybe I have not put it in the slide. So I'll try to type it in. Let's try. So kube pod inventory, what we can get from kube pod inventory. Simply, if I get this, you can see there's a lot of information, but this is having so much of information. So where is you can go through this and then find out, okay, what is the pod name, container name, etc. So you can easily see name represents the pod name. So if I want to easily filter this, what I would be doing is I can say where and then name, then I can give a particular pod name. So here I know the pod names, so I can maybe copy it from the Grafana charts, or like I can probably we can do that. So we can just filter for invoice API and then what are the pods available. We can go and look at this particular chart. For the invoice API, so you can see there's a one pod here. So you can copy this and then, so you can see this is filtered for last 3 hours. I'll filter for more history and show you the history pods as well. But for now, let's look at the current pod logs. Okay, so I can see now this is many entries, but these are on different 1 minute interval windows. How much pod restarts, how many container restarts, and all those information are available in this pod inventory. So let's maybe try to get the container ID. So to get that, what we can do is we can just say I want only the container ID. I don't need all this information. So I can say project container ID. So that will give me the container ID. Again, it's a lot of duplication. So I can say I only want distinct container ID and maybe name. And then I can say name here. So I can get the pod name as well. So now you can see I'm getting this filtered and we had only one container. Now if there's a restart happened in this pod, then there might be 2 containers. Now luckily we only have a single container. So what we can do is use this container ID to filter into what happened in the container logs. So here, let's open another window and try to get the container logs. So in container logs, we can say where container ID is this particular container ID. So what we can do is again filter for the container ID. again I'll say last 30 minutes and try to get this. Okay, now that's a syntactical error. So let's try this. Now you can see it's giving me container ID. So it's actually sorted by time UTC, and then you can see it's sorted the descending, but we can make specifically say that as well. So what we can do is we can say order by time generated, and let's say descending. So it will be always sorted in time generated descending. So if I sort ascending, descending, you can see it's sorted descending. So again, I don't need the whole lot of information. So maybe I am interested only in a particular set of information, such as I need to see the time. So project time generated, and maybe I need to filter for not the container ID because that is in my criteria. So I want to see the log entry and maybe log entry source. So that way I can only see the log entries. So this is much more useful than having everything appearing. Now what if I want to see particular filters, such as we have seen in we have seen in kubectl logs grep filtering. So if I want to filter the log lines by those criteria, so what I can do is here I can say where log entry, we can say has, or we can use contains, but it's better to use has, and then say exception. Now last 30 minutes there's no exceptions, so maybe let's expand this to last 24 hours. Okay, we can only see one exception in last 24 hours. Let me expand this to last 48 hours and see if there's more. Okay, maybe it's not filtering correctly with that one, so let's make it contains and just say last 24 hours. Okay, this is better. So it gave me, when I say contains, it gave me all the exception details I have seen previously. And if you want to use and here, you can use and then you can say contains log entry contains for demo. Okay, and you can see you're getting the, so maybe we don't need the log entry source. It's either standard out or standard error, so we might not need it. So if you want to comment it out, you can comment it out like this, and then we can try this again. So that gives us filtering capability. So likewise, you can actually write more and more filters, and you can even filter for time frames. You have the option of filtering for time frames from here. So that's a lot of easy filtering. So you can even do custom filtering for a particular time frame. So that gives us a lot of opportunity to see things. So what if we don't want to always copy the container ID from here and there? So like, I mean, we have to execute this one and then the container ID and write this. So we can build up a more useful query. So how do we do that? Let's try that. We can do actually joins here. So we can do join of kind inner And then what we can do is we can bring in this previous query inside here. So what I'm going to do is I'm bringing this inside here. Now we are joining these two, and then I'll say on should be giving me container ID. Maybe I have a syntactical mistake here. Double equal, probably not. Okay, why? Because I have not projected the container ID here. So I have to project the container ID here, then I should have the container ID. So now we don't have to filter for this container ID. We can just remove that, and then we can execute the same query. And you can see we can easily filter for a given pod. And we can see if there's any exception or error. You can even say error. And maybe I'll remove this criteria to make it simple. And you can see now we can go ahead and filter for a pod name, and which will give us more details in the easier way to filter, and then using the join so that we can directly apply the pod name and get the details of the pod. So let's look at how we can see a history detail. So right now you can see in my Kubernetes cluster there's only, okay, if I get the pod, let me try to get the pod. So I have only this particular TSMMS invoice API. But let's have a look in our Grafana chart in more historical manner. Maybe 6 hours? Maybe not 6 hours, maybe 24 hours. Okay, you can see there were several invoice APIs running in previous times. So this is the history. So you can see that right now we are only running one invoice API, but there were a couple of other instances running, and then there's new deployments happen. So in that case, if I want to see a particular one, so maybe I can copy the name from here, and then maybe I can go here and try to change the pod name to this one and see if there's any error logs there. Last 24 hours. Okay, there's no error logs. So maybe let's remove the filter criteria. Or let me try to see if the pod has inventory details. Last 24 hours. Yes, it has inventory details. So maybe we can get some without a filter criteria. So let's remove the filter criteria and try to execute this. Oh, there's no logs. So maybe they have not recorded it because I think I enabled this log recording a little while later. So maybe we can look at a pod that is just before this time. Okay, this is this, this is this. Okay, we can kill a pod and then we can do this. Okay, let's go ahead to our Kubernetes cluster and kill the pod. And let's try to do this. So we'll just kill the existing invoice pod. So maybe I can just go and do it from here. It's much faster doing it in command line. So I'll just say delete our current invoice pod. So this one. So I'll delete pod, this, and then let's see. Okay, it's deleted. So once I delete that, a new pod will come up. So why it's taking long? Okay, in the meantime, we can go and see if this is giving more details. Okay, let's just try to get the pods and see if the pod is terminating. Yes, it's terminating, and you can see a new pod is coming up. So we can inspect about the new pod. What are the details in there? So do we have any logs from new pod? Okay. There's not yet any logs, but I think it should have pod inventory. You can try to get that. Okay, it's not yet, the container is not yet started. So you can see there's no container ID for the new pod, but let's wait till this Invoice API get fully killed. Okay, that will happen. Until that, I will show you more details so that we can be getting more information. So we can see invoice pod is getting killed, but let's go and look at another table that we have mentioned. So that is kube events. So that is useful for you as well. So kube events. Where again, without where, let's execute this and check where we get the pod names. So I think the pod name should be there somewhere. Cluster, resource, and so you can see this object. Okay, you can again get it from the name. So what we can do is name where name equal, let's just give the new pod name. This is a new pod that has come up, so we can get that pod and go here and provide the pod name and run this. And okay, it's saying it's failed scheduling. Nodes are available but not eligible due to terminating code on the nominated node. Okay, this is because my HPA specifically demands one instance max. So that's why. So let's try to fix it very quickly. So I should have this. So you will learn something additional as well here. So let me try to quickly fix this thing. I think I have made this pod specifically be like this. That's why it's doing like that. So I should have a temp kubernetes here, which is saying limiting the HPA to have only one maximum pod. So that's why it's not be able to doing that. So let me, oh no, it's max replicas are allowed. Okay, minimum is 10. So let's just go and see the HPA. Oh yeah, the new pod has. Okay, now the new pod has fully running. Yes, that's fine. So let's go and look at the logs again. So don't worry about that HPA thing. So that was blunder I said. So we should just okay. You cannot select the single part and run. So you can see now it's failed scheduling twice, but like it's scheduled and then pulled the image and then started and created. So image pulled and created. So if I sort this properly, so you can see it's created. So that's there. And if we look at the new pod logs here, we should be able to see the new pod logs. Let me try to paste the new pod name. Okay, that's the correct one. So let's try to execute this one. Okay, the new pod is giving new logs. Now we don't have the old pod, but we have the command earlier that we have executed. Now this is the SMMS pod, the previous pod. So if I try to get 10 lines from here in kubectl logs, we can't find the log because the pod is not existing anymore. But if we use this pod name and go back to these queries in log analytics and try to get the history information, you still have the details. And if you want to see what happened with that pod and why there's an error, etc., you can filter for the errors. So this gives an advantage. So you can see in kubectl logs, you can't find the pod, so you can't see the log. But here in queries, you can go and find it in log analytics and find the details of the not existing pods. So that is history pods. So if you have enabled log analytics, you can find. Now previous pod that I was trying, actually I have not enabled the log analytics at that point of time. I enabled it later. So that's why it's not working. So we have to enable logs. Now I'm specifically disabling this logs to save cost because log analytics will cost a lot. So I'm disabling it. So how to disable that? I have written a blog. So you can go and search for my blogs, chaminderc at blogspot.com. So you can see that. I have created a blog about reducing the cost by reducing the container logs ingestion into the log analytics. So to specifically do that, we have to use I have explained about this one. So this is how we do that. Let me control KU, and then now if we use this as false, false, and false, 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 then log analytics will stop sending logs to actually container logs will not be, Kubernetes will stop send, AKS will stop send logs to log analytics. So when you want to re-enable for testing, you can enable like this, and it will bring the logs that are currently available in Kubernetes side into the log analytics. So generally view history stuff will also come in, but not all of it. So you can start monitoring from the point you enable this log analytics. So this is useful way to diagnose the issues. Okay, so we have talked a lot and we have taken a lot of time. So let's quickly look at two more things and just complete this thing. So I'll show you a very complex query, two complex queries. Maybe I'll try to copy this. Okay, I think I have to copy this via the slide, then it's easier. So I'll try to copy, and let's go to our portal and then try to open a new query and run this. Okay, now this one actually gives me the details of customer API deployment and its horizontal pod autoscaler and its desired instance and max instance over time. So let me try to explain this particular query to you. So what we are doing is we are filtering for the HPA status, current replicas, details, and then we are getting all the tag information, and then from there we are filtering the cluster name, and then cluster name we are filtering here, and then we are filtering the namespace, and then we generate over time how the desired pods and max pods, desired pods and max pod is set in the horizontal pods autoscaler. So these custom queries really help us to come up with visuals like that I have shown you. So this is giving us details on how the invoice API behaved over time. So there's many things that you can do with these custom queries. So if you look at this particular query, it uses kube pod inventory to find out what are the actually running pods over time. So pending state, terminating state, all these things are coming up. So like for example, if I try to get the last 3 hours and invoice API, let's let it refresh. It will take a few seconds to refresh. Okay, now you can see, let's actually try to be filtering a little bit more on the time wise to get more details. So you can see here, it's clearly showing us we had a terminating pod one instance, we had a pending pod for some time, and we had running pods going down and coming up. So this is not a good one because we don't have a pod disruption budget for this particular one. So pod disruption budgets are set so that you are not letting an API go down. So if you look at my set of pod disruption budgets, let me try to get those PDBs. I only have pod disruption budgets for customer, order, and payment. I don't have a pod disruption budget defined for invoice API. If I have defined that, then before terminating the current one, it will bring up the new one. So that will allow to have the continuous service. So, but these queries really help us to use these details. So like if I show you this one here and go to queries, I'll open on the query and then try to paste it and run this. So this will give us pending pod details. So let me try to, okay, you can see we had pending pods and all those things. So over time, so this is if we sort from time. So we can maybe not customer, but we can filter for invoice API. So we should see we had a pending pod in recent times. So let me try to sort this. Okay, pending. We should have pending pods. Okay. Yeah. I think this is the correct entry. Yes, terminating pod and running pods. So you can see the details are filtering. So let's filter only for last 30 minutes maybe, and then run this. So it will give the correct information. So you can sort for the time and you can see things are giving you the information. So if I execute the query here, it gives the information for your pods. So this is sorted in wrong column. So that's yeah. So you can see here. So when we sort from here, you can see it's giving us this information. So these custom queries, not only to filter logs, but to do much more work you can use. And then you can actually define in Grafana these custom queries and you can generate visuals like this. So that will really help you to diagnose and monitor issues and view how the things are behaving. So I hope in this particular session you have got something to learn, and you have learned how to filter logs, how to filter logs using grep and kubectl logs, and then how to use custom queries and how to use custom queries to create visualizations. So I have given you a basic idea on how to write the queries. So utilize these things and try to learn how to implement these things in Kubernetes and Docker environments. So that will help you to monitor and then identify issues and fix the issues. So I hope this session was useful to you, and thank you for listening for more than 1 hour. Thanks, and let's see you in another session. Thank you.